10, so we'll kick off with the second part of Sacha's talk. I'm sure she's got a lot more interesting stuff to share with us. And of course, if you've got any questions or anything specific you want to ask her about any aspect of the UFO subject, just shout up if she doesn't mention it, or indeed if there's anything that you want to get clarification on over what she covered in part 1. So can everybody put your hands together? Let's welcome back Sacha.
Okay. What I said I wanted to talk about was delusion versus illusion, but it's not really what I mean. That kind of stemmed from, I did some Amash videos, and they're a couple of years old, and I've actually said to Miles Johnson, I want to do another one, because everything in it's completely outdated now, because I've changed my mind about things, you know. This is what you have to say, right, well, this is what I think now. You can't ever have any definitive answers. So I've done this video anyway, and basically that's what people think I think, and that I will always think, but that's not the case. I said I was delusional now, and I thought, how can I be delusional? I'm just shooting the shit, basically. But this is well, I felt that, and I thought, what does that even mean? And delusion is just hanging on to a belief, you know, with the incomplete facts. And I thought, well, it's kind of right, because I don't have any facts. But I don't have delusion either, because I don't have a belief system. And this, that's centred around the contact situations. And that is where, you know, we get all these problems, because people think if you say that you have ET encounters, that it's a belief system like a religion, or there's some dogma with it, or, you know, some narrative that is just really, you know, it's not based in reality. These experiences that we have are real. So there's nothing to believe about it, you know, like it's in God. It's like, I know that these things have happened. What the things are that have happened, that's what I don't know. So it's not about delusion. But then, it's kind of like thinking, well, how can I talk about this? Because, like, again, I've said before, we've got no common language. We haven't got a language that works to talk about it. So, you know, you kind of like, we have these common arguments, and they're from academics, and they're from everybody, really. So when you're trying to sort of talk about something, but you don't have a language that works, it actually affects the way that you behave, the way that you deliver things, because you've got in mind, oh, academia is going to react like this, they're going to react like that, and basically, I'm not asking everyone to believe me. I'm not asking anything. I just want to know what has happened to me, and what isn't. It's not just me either. I mean, you know, there's literally millions of people that are having experiences, and they're all lumped to the alien abduction thing, but for the most part, you know, they're kind of like in dream states, out of body, or what, you know, they're not all, like Paula sitting in the living room, seeing the glass tube coming to her and the ball above her head, and a friend saw this. Funnily enough, she told me about this, and 2 weeks later, this person that she'd not seen for years, who witnessed that, turned up back in her life. Something that you reminded me when you were saying something earlier, that these people, when you start to talk about stuff, the people that you need to validate, you often come and pop back up, because you're facing it. You know, it's that running away from something, you don't face it, you know, so you don't get any answers. So basically, you know, you spend a lifetime running away from it. As soon as you start to, you know, like I did, you turn around, try and make sense of it, that is the recovery, and then there's a process that goes with that. People don't understand the process of recovery from these sort of things, and don't think there should be one, because, you know, if you haven't gone through and it hasn't terrified you, you can't understand why somebody's in a state. But, you know, it's the constant, unusual nature of it that brings us sort of stress on, that it compounds into almost like a post-traumatic stress disorder. But it's not, because there's not necessarily one incident that's caused it, so it's almost like you know, years of build-up. But then, you know, so that's affected your behaviour anyway, so you don't know how to behave with normal people, or like some of the contactees that I work with, they like call them outsiders, or, you know, other people, or, you know, because they don't gel with them, because it's just so different, because of a completely different way of thinking and saying things. So, not only does that affect your behaviour, but the people that you come into contact with, that you're trying to get answers from, they also affect your behaviour, because you think, well, they talk like that, I want them to understand what I'm saying, so, you know, you try and be like that, you try and be like this. And so you just kind of like, you become moulded by negative debates. And these are from all people that are surrounding us, even our, you know, our peers and our colleagues who have different opinions. But because they will only accept a certain way or a certain language, then you can't communicate with them because they won't accept your language. So, you know, we kind of have this thing that's going round and round and round. But it ultimately, it affects the way that we deal with it, we talk about it, and it actually restricts us to the point where we often don't talk about things because we don't know who to talk to, because we don't, you know, we don't know how a person's going to react to something just by looking at them. You know what I mean? You go up to, say, you know, and in the community, we have all these different factions, and you're not allowed to talk to each other. And if you do, you're seen as a massive insult. I was recently told, because I sat next to Ian Ridpath, who I actually really like as a person, I was sat next to him talking to him in a panel debate at a conference. And then I was told, because I'd taken part in this panel debate and was enjoying the conversation and a few bits of banter between us, I was cohorting with the enemy, and you know, it's like a kick in the teeth. This is from somebody who didn't even know me. He feels like I kicked him in the teeth by interacting. So it's like, well, this is from who I would say was on my side. You know, he believes all the same things as I do, but why am I not allowed to play with him? I'm allowed to play with them. So you know, this is where we get bricked in, and this is what I want to change. Because none of us are delusional. We might be misinformed and we might be wrong about what we think, but how are we supposed to know what we're supposed to think when everything's such a mess and we've got no answers? And basically, we want to be believed, we want to be taken seriously, we want to be heard, we don't want to be marginalised anymore, we want the same equal rights as everybody else, which we don't have. No, I go to bed on the night, I don't know that everything's fine, I've locked my door, can alarm it, I can just spring traps everywhere, it doesn't make any difference. When I go to bed, I know that something can come in my house and interfere with me there, which has happened, with people coming into my house, booted, footsteps, bum bum bum, banging into my furniture, cloth bag on the floor next to me. I was laid in my bed on a futon, and I heard this cloth bag, bang, on the floor, with lots of little metal things in. I didn't care, right? I was in whatever state. I was aware that this was going on. I thought, oh, you know, I'm just asleep, whatever happened, I don't know, but I know I heard that. Next day, my partner at the time, he's suffering terrible injuries all over, and in a complete mental state. So, and this MyLabs thing, or rehabs, whatever it is that's going on, it involves people. People don't want to deal with that because they think, oh, they're never going to do that, why would they do that? Look, trust me, they don't care. They were going to blow up the nuclear bomb on the moon so that the sun would reflect off all the particles, just to show the world, especially the communists, how hard they are. So they don't care about anything, so all that is just silly dismissive arguments that I really have no time for, because they don't care. So, you know, I've actually started looking into sort of equal rights laws, humanitarian laws, because we don't have any of that kind of thing going for us. Any other belief system or any other way of life, be it gay, black, blah, completely protected. We're not. We are absolutely just completely left out in the open to be ridiculed or, you know, lose our jobs or whatever. I like what Natasha says about us having our own, or forming a kind of ethnicity between us, which is right, and that is actually what really kind of gelled in my head. For me thinking, well, if we can actually market it like that to these sort of people, we might actually gain some ground. Because recently, I keep referring back to Paula, but she's somebody that I'm really working with at the moment. She went for a job interview, and it was an interdepartmental thing. So she'd gone for a job interview from a job that she'd had for 6 years. They said to her after the interview was over, so what are your hobbies and interests and things like that? She said, oh, well, I'm interested in UFOs and aliens and all that kind of thing. So obviously she said, straight away the demeanour changed and like this, oh yeah, so, you know, they're laughing at her, made her feel uncomfortable, and she reacted to that because she's like me, very outspoken. And she, you know, she said, you can't say things like that. So, you know, you can't, if somebody was believing in, they're talking about their religious beliefs, you wouldn't do that. So anyway, she obviously didn't get the job. She went back to work. The next day, she gets called into the office because the 3 people who interviewed her had concerns for her mental health and got in touch with her boss voicing these concerns, wondering if she was actually fit enough for the job that she was in, right? Disgusting. So her boss said, she's worked for me for 6 years, not a problem. There's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing, I didn't even know any of that, and now that I do know that, and I look back in time here, there's nothing to indicate that she doesn't bring it to work, she doesn't do any, you know, there's no way that it affects her. Obviously Paula's fuming about this, and she wants to take it further, so her supervisor arranges a meeting between these 3 people and her, when they apologise to her face, and she gets the opportunity that they have to sit there, this is what a supervisor's arranged, they have to sit there and listen to what she's got to say to them about what they've said to her. Now she's done this and she kept her job. Now she said to me yesterday, she was on the stairs at work and one of these people that was in the interview came past her. So she said something, you know, like, well, some people are just different knobheads out there like that. So he heard it. And she's like, oh, hiding away. She fought and she kept her job. Now, we need to use ourselves as examples for this because people are scared of everything. They're scared, oh, we'll lose my job, I'll lose my kids, I'll lose this, I'll get killed. Somebody's brought this up tonight that, you know, why are people, you know, used to be people floating down the river. Well, there still are, but it's just not us, you know what I mean? Because we're just all the nutters, aren't we? That believe in aliens, so obviously, you know, at least our beliefs. But anyway, I've had mental health issues, obviously. I don't have ET contact stemming from mental health issues. I have mental health issues stemming from the contact. It's the other way around. So yeah, the conclusion that people say the aliens, the conclusion that they're mentally ill is kind of right in the conclusion, but the premise is completely false because, you know, we didn't start off like this. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I've always been honest about everything that, you know, when I saw the UFO, that's all I saw. I saw UFOs, just saw lights in the sky, saw something on the ground, heard something running, and that is literally, if we were going to boil down the incident to the bare facts for a skeptic to look at, do you know what I mean? It deeply affected me, and I have obviously had some support. I even put myself in a psych ward for a couple of months because people who see these sort of things and have all these type of things going on, they are all mad. It's got schizophrenia. That's what I thought 7 years ago. So I put myself in the nut arch, and they said you just got chronic anxiety and very highly stressed out, you know, basically. But you know, I talked about that. I talked about what I'd seen. I talked about it to the therapist that I had, you know, that I saw for like 6 or 7 months. Very, you know, intensive help that I was getting at the time. And I've had it at home as well. I've had several wobbles in my life where I've had to have people coming into the home and helping me, you know, get my shit together basically. And I've talked about it to them, no, God, that's fascinating. That's really fascinating. So there's no way in the world that anybody now could actually use that as a threat with me, with my children, because even the school know, or when I lived in Leeds, they all knew, everyone knew. So I feel like I can say, look, you won't lose your kids, you won't lose your job, depends on how you handle it. I want to find this, I know that there are 2 laws that apply to us, I want to find more, I really want to gel this. If anyone's interested in having a pop about and having a look and just, you know, throwing me a bone, that's brilliant, because, you know, I do some passive research. But basically, this situation, it has to change. And it's not all doom and gloom. I know that I sound like, oh, you know, oh, poor me, but I really am not like that anymore. And I was never a victim, I was just suffering. I've never seen myself as a victim. I'm just somebody who's gone through something that I couldn't make head or tails of. So I've had to really kind of rebuild myself, this kind of restructuring of who I am, or who I always was, but under this illusion that, you know, everything in the world, as when I sold it on the TV or in the papers, is how it is. It's not at all. So far removed from that. You know, when you have an experience like that, completely turns you on your head. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's false, you don't know who to believe, you don't know anything anymore. You have to kind of go back around and through all of your life, as it is now and as it was then, and I look back at my life and I think, the life that I remember is not the life I've led. That leaves you in another confusing place, because you think, well, there's all these other elements in it that I didn't even realise at the time. It's only now that I look back, I think, all those stories about me disappearing when I was a baby, I was just a little adventurous monkey. I don't know if I was anymore. I might have been, but I don't know. You know, you have to reevaluate everything to re-establish yourself. And that is literally the fear of looking at things. It's the fear factor that, you know, it cripples us, but actually it frees us as well. Because of all of the chronic things that I've actually gone through in my own mind and in my own emotional state, fear, it changes you. It can like, it can make or break a person, and it breaks a person usually, and then they remake themselves. I have a lot of people who have had combat trauma who are now interested in paranormal things. It's like it opens something in your mind to other aspects of life or reality. And I can't even tell you, there must be 5 or 6 in the past couple of years, combat veterans who are, you know, injured as well, post-traumatic stress disorder, and they're now interested in all things mystical. Now, I've kind of had a little look into that, and there's some sort of shamanic thing that they actually think that, you know, fear does open these portals in your mind, so you can go and step through into other dimensions or other realities, or they can come to you. So I think that's kind of interesting. But you know, when I talk to people, they ask about the fear of it all. Why is it so scary? Well, I was talking to you earlier, you said that doesn't sound frightening. And it wasn't until that one moment when that boof and you know, everything came to light. It was like being in a vacuum. And then when that bumped into my back, it was like, everything was like, you know. I was there then. And I thought, well, it's like you do get used to fear. You get used to feeling it. But you're never not going to be scared when it kicks off, that moment, you know. When you realise they're in your bedroom or that something's going on or you're somewhere else, you're going to freak out at that point. But it was always afterwards that I used to batter my own head even more about what was it, blah, blah, blah. Was it real? Was it a dream? Was it this, that, or the other? And it's the aftershock of it that caused more damage in the fear factor. But it keeps going on and on and on until you think, oh, I'm not scared anymore. And actually, it's so funny. I was reading Jim Sparks' book. I sat in the living room really late at night, sat by myself. He was going on about what they started to appear to him when he was away, just like where we are now, you know. And he was asking for this, and I'm like, yeah, I think like that now. And I thought, oh my God, I'm on my own downstairs, it's night time, I've got a skin shrink on my head, and I'm upstairs. So like, no, I don't mean that. You send these thoughts out and you pull them back. But you know, I do want to know more. I don't know if I could cope with seeing them, to be honest, but you know, it's like, I want to know because I want to pass it on. I want to know people, I want them to know that they're not mental. Well, they might be, but they're not crazy, they're not wrong about what they're seeing. And those are the sort of things that, you know, we need. But the process of recovery from it, you don't think you're getting there now. I've seen it because I've been through it, and then I'm working with people who are going through it, and they're all at different stages. And I can see that there's this pattern of recovery, and it's almost like you have to empty before you can even begin to listen to what anyone else has got to say. And I actually thought, you need to shut up and listen now. So, you know, when you listen and you start to learn, and you talk to other people and you think, oh God, I used to be like that, but I'm not like that anymore. So you need to keep dealing with each other. Weaknesses need to come together, experiences need to come together, because that's when they know that everything that they're going through is the same as everyone else. It's almost like a process. You know, it's like the grieving process, and you know, the 5 points of it. It's almost like that. It's not the same, but you know, yes, love.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask if you feel that there's anything positive come out of the experience.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I've seen loads of really good things as well. This is what I mean. It's not all scary. The positive thing that's come out of it is that I feel free now. You know, I feel like 7, 8 years ago, I was in a psychiatric ward, a complete mess. You know, I've dealt with it, I've faced it, I've come out of it, and now I feel like a free person. I might be tied by normal life's constraints in here and in here. I don't feel like that. I feel really strong now, where I felt like a non-entity before. I actually didn't feel like anything, and if I couldn't have touched that, then I would have thought that all I was a pair of eyeballs floating through the air, and all this is just stuff hanging off the bottom of it, just like a brain in the air with eyes. Because they had no conscious, no sort of concept of what reality was anymore, and whether I was real or not. But now it's just like, I just love what I'm doing. I love the people that I meet, and the thing that has done it for me, the real positive thing about it, is meeting other people like me, right, and knowing that, you know, there's more of us than there are of them, you know? Honest to God, if I just think about it, I sat down a couple of weeks ago and I wrote down off the top of my head, how many people am I dealing with right now? I've got to 60, right? 60 people in England, around me, and some of them, a lot of them are my age actually, and we're kind of local to each other, so when you sort of do that, you're kind of seeing like little patterns and you think, oh, I wonder if we're kind of some sort of batch or a project or, you know, a certain amount of kids from a certain area or whatever, I don't know, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's the fear that you need to overcome, but the fear comes with not knowing anything, and you don't know anything if you're just stewing in your own juice. I have gone round my mind millions and millions and millions of times over the same thing, and it isn't until recently when I've started buying books of other people's experiences and started reading them that I'm really pulling it all together now for myself and my experiences. Now, the deeper I go in that and the more I can absorb and understand in that, the more when I listen to other people, I'm going to be able to relate even more to that. So it's like the positive thing is this is absolutely healing, even though it sounds really dark and horrible, and it has been really dark and horrible. I had an experience March 15th last year. Woke up, but I've got my bed in the doorway's there. I'm like, there's a Power Ranger in my bedroom. Oh, it's a biker. And I realised, no, it's not either. It was an alien in a suit and a helmet. Now, anyone told me alien suits and helmets, I'm like, please. Right? But there it was, I've seen it. I had this mad buzzing in my head. What they were doing, it was nothing to do with me. I've got kids in the house. I was in bed all the whole time, and this was in the doorway, looking down the stairs, and it turned and it looked at me like that while I was shouting at it to go away. It told me why it was wearing its helmet, it told me why it was wearing the suit, toxins, signals, different light going off in the air, it all affects them. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that is what I got in my head, and to me that was a massive distraction. It took me ages to piece it together. Am I traumatised about it? No. Why not? I don't know. Look, a couple of years ago I would have been freaking out, you know, completely freaking out, literally pulling my hair out, just punched myself in the head because I couldn't cope with the pressure of everything, and that is just self-harm. I think, nothing.
I think that's because you're starting to accept some experiences and
but I've only been able to do that because of everyone else.
Yeah.
I get all the time, oh, thank you so much. It's like, trust me, and I ain't got you, I've got it myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't learn anything, and I've really I'm just determined to get better. I'm just determined to make something of this, because it is absolutely unfair that we've been marginalised to the point of non-existence or just the brunt of jokes. You know, and it goes right through. Disclosure Project, all those things, National Press Club, everything. Look at all those people, the calibre of those people that are all saying this is real, yeah. You need to complain about it, yeah? Still, cuckoo. Do you know what I mean? Who are the people who are saying that? I don't even actually see that many dismissals, denials, or jokes being made about it anymore. Not so much even in the papers, you know, and especially politicians, you see it. Do they eat and they go, don't say anything, or nothing, you know, it's love.
Yeah, Sacha, going back to the this biker type alien thing that we saw, I actually find this quite interesting. The reason I say that is because I actually have a friend who used to be a special police constable, and she had to give up the job that she was doing because of her child being very unwell. I'm not going to go into any details on that, but the thing that I find particularly interesting is this biker type character that you mentioned, because you don't often hear about these sort of things, yet in her experiences she's actually drawn these biker type characters, and that she has seen on occasion, and her experiences go back to when she was a little girl. So
with the helmet as well.
With the helmet.
Because
so
I've heard and I've seen drawings and things like that of aliens in suits, with the little belts and the boots and what have you. But I don't know if I've ever come across one with a helmet on, because I would like to know
so
the description of this particular helmet.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a room with this lady, I'm actually going to, I mean, I've probably still got some of those images actually in my own files.
Right. You could ask her if it was alright for me to have a look at them or even talk to her or something, because...
If she agrees, I'll send it to you.
I'll have to draw, before I see them, I'll have to draw thing down, and we'll have to do a kind of swap, you know, a time swap, because, you know, just for comparisons.
I'm just saying this just in case people think, well, you know, okay, straight bikers in someone's room, you know, it makes you sound, you know, it's a sort of crazy thing to say, but it's not, you're not the only one that's actually come across these type of things. In fact, there's I think in one of John Hanson's cases in his Haunted Sky series, because I actually did an illustration for his book on this.
He tried to bury me under boxes of papers and that before it was published.
I can't remember the details, but there's a couple it's going back quite a few years, a couple going back to a campsite somewhere in, would you believe, Wales, right? And they're in their helmet in, and they're just coming around this sort of bend in the road, and they see these what they think are bikers. But there's the lady in the car. She sees 9 of them. They're all grouped together. They're extremely tall, and they've got sort of batons, and they're all holding batons, and they're all sort of almost like regimental. And they're just sort of at the side of the road as they come round, and this really spooks them out. So I mean, I could probably share the details on that, which you might find interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
But there you've got this other case of strange biker type.
It's the description of the helmet that really intrigued me, because it was very detailed. What I saw, there's some specifics, so I'd like to see if it's the same sort of thing. I'm not saying I won't believe her if that's not the case. I just want to know.
I've had these pictures that she's sent to me, because I've known her quite a few years now, for a very long time. So
Sacha? A couple of things. Just you mentioned John Hanson there. I will just mention in case I forget later on. John's actually going to come and talk at BUFOG. He's coming to talk in April now. It was originally coming to talk next month. March has been swapped over. He's now talking in April. Keep an eye on the site. Next month we've got the film Intruders. Very, very good film on Contact. But it's kind of based on the John Mack and Bernard Hopkins case. But back to the subject at the moment with the bikers. Just wanted to suggest, I was speaking earlier on about screen memories, and it's the possibility that with these cases where they appear as bikers, that they're putting on that persona and some sort of...
No, they didn't appear as a biker. In my halfway fugue, when I first opened my eyes, my impression was of one of them, you know, like all the leathers on, all in one leathers and the helmet. But it was like when it turned, and I seen it from sort of the front, I could see that the helmet, point of the helmet, it was really pointed, it came down to about here. Right, so it wasn't a biker, it was just, I thought it's a Power Ranger, and I thought, it can't be a Power Ranger, it must be a biker. It can't be any of them, it's in my doorway.
It's your brain making assumptions.
Trying to make sense of things.
Absolutely,
It does that a lot as well. It's like when you have memories. I have a memory of a dream, which it's very recent. I'm stood face to face, leaning on something, talking to my friend Joe Montaldo, who's Paranormal Radio Network in America. But I'm also watching this from a distance over there. I'm watching me talk to him. Now, in between us is what my brain was trying to say. It's a vending machine, right? Because it was red around the outside. It had some sort of panel in the middle, but there were no products in it. It wasn't even glass. So I was like, no, you're not telling me it's a vending machine. You're not filling that gap in. Your brain will find the most sensible thing it can to put in a place to make sense of something so you can feel all right about it. Because your brain won't leave alone an unsolved problem, right? It just won't leave it alone. But I've actually made my brain stop doing that, and I've seen what it is. I don't know what it is, but I can see the shape of it, and I know that it's definitely not a vending machine. If I wasn't aware that my brain does that sort of thing, because that's what all brains do, I would have let it done in that gap. It's me and Joe leaning against a vending machine, and I'm watching us from a distance. That third-party it's like the self third-party observation thing that goes on in contact situations. or other weird kind of scenarios that are going on that a lot of people have explained to me. They're watching themselves involved in something else that they can't hear. It's like they're involved in something, and whatever's being said and going on, and it can be a conversation between two people, they're in a room, looking outside, looking down into a garden, or you know, just over the street, watching themselves interact with somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, so that can't be alien abduction.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit like out-of-body experience, isn't it? It's like you're watching yourself doing something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So, you know, I don't really know.
Andrew will be fascinated.
Well, it's closely linked to the whole. Have you had any out-of-body experience?
Oh God, loads. In fact, one of them, you know, when you kind of like, I don't know if anyone's ever done it, you kind of like, as soon as you think, oh, you wake up, right, you come out of it, you realise, oh, I'm flying. This particular time, I was sort of like above the ground, looking at all these fields, there was a pond. It was like everything was glowing, like in moonlight, but there was, I don't remember seeing any moon, so it was like it had its own natural, you know, luminescence to it. And I thought, stars, don't see stars. As soon as I thought about them, I was rushing up, and I could feel wind. It's like being on a bike with no helmet, you know, 100 miles an hour. That's what it felt like. And I'm looking at her, and then they all move, and there's just a big patch of black. And I thought, oh, they've moved out the way, so I don't smash into them. Thought processes going on in these situations, right? That's another interesting point. I can remember everything that I've thought while it's going on. So it's not the same as a dream, you know. But then the next thing I know, I'm sat on a bench in a curved corridor, quite wide, probably about as wide as this bit here. Sat next to a woman going, I can't believe this. I know that I'm at home in bed, asleep. And she's going, I'm at home in bed, asleep. That's all I can remember, you know. But yeah, that was kind of, because I could feel everything. I've had another one walking down the corridor, just like a boring school corridor, you know, and I've put my arms out, and my arms have gone like completely through the walls either side, and I felt electric charge coming up into my face. That's not alien abduction. It might be, but you know what I mean? So basically, that's a little bit. Somebody over there, you wanted to ask me about Rendlesham, didn't you? So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, obviously you've got an interest.
Yeah.
So, what do you know about it?
What do I know?
How many days have you got?
I know that Jim and John are lying about the binary. Strike one. What I think, I'd like to think I know, is that the entire thing was a behavioural sciences research project conducted by the Department of Naval Affairs, because they literally had the entire nuclear defence industry was in such a mess after all those wars and everything. You know, you've got Korea, all the rest of it going on. This is the US. We don't know who's where, on what base, why they've even got the job. There's people getting sacked with complete intimate knowledge of all of the bases, where the cookie jar is kept, you know, and basically they came up with this project to, the first thing was, right, we need to tell everybody, this is no rank excluded, we're going to shake it up, we need to do background checks on everybody, we need forest analysis on everybody, fingerprints, we need to check out who everybody is, because we think that we have got rogue elements within our bases that are going to compromise us, and what we want to do is just throw that out there, shake it up, and we'll be, and this is what these documents are saying that I found, we'll be surprised, I think we'll be surprised at who just ups and leaves, right, and that was the first thing. Then they wanted to compromise the base with repeated perimeter fence intrusions, annoyances, to see how many times they do it before they just switched it off and didn't bother going looking. They wanted to test concrete, they wanted to test how easy it would be to get over, under, through all of the fencing. What they wanted, the ideal place for them, was a base next to the sea by the woods, right? And what they wanted to do was, all of the things in this, these documents were saying basically, they just described Bentwaters and Woodbridge. Although I don't know if they had that in mind when these were written, because this was 1976 and this happened 4 years later, in 80. So, you know, they wanted to do all these things, and it's like everything that I've gone through with listening to John and Jim and all the things that they were saying before they come out with this crap. On the forum, on the Rendlesham Forest Incident Forum, I downloaded the entire site. I've got every word that they ever said, and I go back all over that. They're completely different now. Didn't even know. John was on board. They think it was some kind of psychological operation. But basically, security staff on nuclear bases have a very non-productive role. The guarding stuff that's really not going to be, you know, it's just no incidents. You know, out of all the bases that they've got, they counted 99 acts of terrorism against these bases. 99 is nothing, and they were just like little fires or somebody throwing stones even, you know, that was an act of terrorism. So basically they wanted to shake up the nuclear industry, the defence industry, because they didn't know who was there. And they also wanted to see how they could get optimum performance out of all of the men. They went into all the ionisation of rooms and, you know, all the things that the technology builds up, causes lulls, causes it, so they wanted. So they'll do it now, they've got them in schools, these ionisers that keep changing the levels of the ions, negative and positive, certain times a day, because they know that after X amount of hours the body will go, I'm tired now, so they up this particular thing and everybody's feeling a little bit brighter, right? And that's what they were doing, that's what they were testing. I've heard it from all kinds of people who are on there, oh yeah, well I went to report this, but they were all asleep, because they wanted to send them to sleep. They wanted them to be as crap as possible to prove these points. They were indicating that there were people involved in this, in these security jobs who were unstable through combat. True. Now, one of the things that really sort of put this onto it was Larry's explanation of what happened to him at Capel Green from the point when he got out of the van, got out of the truck, walking through the trees with Adrian Bustins into the opening where the craft was. And none of that actually makes sense anyway, but when they were saying, oh, I was feeling this, and then I felt like, and then this and that and the other, you'd have to read Left at Eastgate. It's on like page 57. In this document, he's describing these, this defence mechanism that they wanted. It was invisible fencing, basically. So you've got a portal there, a portal there, a portal there, and each one is connected by a laser, electromagnetic frequencies and ultra low frequencies. We all know make you feel ill, make you feel sick. It's all that, you know, Germans did a load of research into the very low frequency, you know, for warfare basically. So they understood that you can't, well, you could kill a person, but basically it's better off at frightening somebody out of an area, feelings of unease and all the rest of it. That's the ultra low frequencies. The magnetic radiation is the same thing, which you feel spooky. You go into haunted pubs, haunted toilets in pubs generally, it's just a wire leaking, you know, a little bit of magnetic field, and you sit there and think, what's that? It's a similar sort of thing. What they wanted to do was make people sick, ill, can't get past a certain point. And I think that's what Jim saw. It was definitely an anti-gravitic craft, very early stages, black cobalt glass, stacked in the pyramid, that's how the ions stack. Stacking of ions, and you can polarise it against the Earth's natural magnetic field, it will lift, right? And this technology has been available for years, 50s, yeah, from the 50s. Not, you said, oh, they didn't have it then. Yeah, they did, and they're using these exact same things for, you know, robotic surgery, guided surgery. It's the same kind of principle, you know. So, I do believe Jim touched it. I do not believe that he got a binary code from it. That doesn't make any sense. Right, people from the future, who will probably, I'm assuming, talk, will transfer information to a human from the past in a language that they cannot decipher. Do you know? And computers were not very prevalent then, so nobody could just go and type in there 1110011 and get a message for humanity that you're going to keep in your back pocket until you sell a book. Yeah? So, one of the interesting things that I think UFO on the ground, Adrian Bustins, Larry Warren, unknown people, no badges, no insignias, no nothing to indicate who they are. They should have been challenging people, who are you, who are you? They were security staff on the base, they failed miserably on all counts of everything. They just let people, there were civilians there, they weren't really civilians, they were all part of it. I say, if a UFO crashed anywhere in this country, especially next to 2 military bases with a nuclear power plant as well, just around the corner, there would be shit in the air everywhere, there would be trucks filing in, there would be people coming from everywhere onto that base. You wouldn't just get a few nomads who'll just come back on duty for or just little kids out of the sweet wrapper. 19 years old Larry was at the time. Do you know what I mean? Literally, my son is older than he is. So they've got him, he's like, oh, I've come back off after my weekend. Right, off you go. You have to that. The 2 deer that jumped over the fence, he should have shot them, right? Because they could have had spy equipment on them. And this is what their paranoia is. They want to prepare against everything. So fail, 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 all the way along the line. So what do you do if you've got a UFO crashed in the middle of a field? Do you get 2 soldiers and go, right, walk 10 paces to the left, walk 10 paces to the right? Nice one. Why? For what purpose? Yeah? Unless, like I think, they were seeing what a heavy influx of ionised air would do to the human body. Now, they've all got heart problems. Larry's got terrible throat, you know, sometimes he survives it like that, literally. They've all got heart valve problems, every single one of them. Different body types respond differently to this kind of exposure. Tall, thin, short, stocky. Adrian, tall, thin, Larry, short, stocky. Now, where Larry was hit on the back, he started bleeding, his skin started hemorrhaging, he had to go to the hospital, right? So now what ionised air does when you breathe it into your body, it finds its way out of its body through the tissues like a proper electrical current. So basically, it discharged on this man's hand, causing tissue damage to his back. Yeah, that was no UFO. Definitely not. They wouldn't have even had them kids near it. Nobody, they would have had a specialist team in. You know, I found document, and it's been verified by God knows how many people, that this is an actual real document, UFO protocol in America and overseas. This is what you do, this is what you set up this, right? It's even got the number for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and the extension number of the people that you ring if there's a UFO crash or a UFO incident or something like that. So this shit is real, do you know what I mean? So I know that none of what went on was supposed to have been what should have gone on if that was a genuine scenario. People go, they wouldn't do that on a nuclear base where a match head could set the whole thing off. I'm like, oh, bloody hope not. But anyway, it didn't happen on the base. It happened over there, over there, over there. It was not on any base, so that argument invalid. All of the people, all the military men that have come jumping all over my shit saying it's not that, how would you know, you stupid little housewife, go do a course and take a walk with your husband, that kind of crap that I've had to deal with. Sorry pal, but you wouldn't know either, because the military is so compartmentalised, you don't even know what the person sitting next to you on the desk will be doing. Yeah? Never mind John B. Alexander telling me, no way, no way, no way. Well, you won't know either, pal. You wouldn't know. You carry on with your Jedi projects and go staring at goats or whatever you think is worthwhile, messing with people's minds. You know what I mean? You should be in jail, not out there telling me that I'm an idiot for thinking that this wasn't a UFO. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know what his point was anyway, because he said they haven't even come here, so he would have said, yeah, you're right, he wasn't. It's just, it's whatever, it's ego blah that comes out for these men. You know, they're being beefed up because basically, what's your job? The job's boring, well, we have to make you feel good somehow. Yeah, brilliant, you have another badge. Right? I don't mean to demean anyone who's been in the military, my dad's a military man, but basically, that is all in these documents. I'll have to find, I can't remember the name of them. Behavioural Sciences in Physical Security on Nuclear Bases, right? It's on my blog, Infomaniac Housewife blog, yeah. It's really badly spelled. I was so it was like, I found it, I went, oh, I've got the answer, I know what happened. And my fingers hitting like 50 keys at once, and there's some terrible, it's not bad spelling, it's just like, boom, for enthusiasm. I threw it out there. That blog, this is how fickle everyone is. 9,000 hits in one day, yeah, right? Exactly. I've never had that kind of attention from anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, what? And because I put Rendlesham revealed what really happened. You know what I mean? Full stop, not question mark. How dare she? Do you know what I mean? I've never seen anything like it. And the vile things that I said, I was just like, that was a massive lesson in behavioural research for me. Do you know what I mean? It was like, right, okay. Everyone thinks that they know. And I'll tell you what, I've listened to everyone. Skeptics, believers, knowers, and even the knowers don't know. No one knows. None of these narratives that are thrown at me, nothing that anyone says has made me feel any better, or, oh yeah, that's it. Right? None. Nothing. not even my own conclusions. It's like, you know, you kind of try and find some logic, or let's follow this narrative, see where it goes, does it make any sense? Do you know what I mean? You can only try and find a pattern in things and try and make sense. It's like reverse engineer your entire life, you know. So basically I think that's what's happened, and Larry's not in disagreement with me, and there's other people in the 81st that are not in disagreement with me, but obviously they don't want their names mentioning because they've never been out in the public and they really do not want to join that circus, because that is what it is. It's like Larry says to me, he goes, "Welcome to Disneyland on acid." But it's like, actually, I would really enjoy Disneyland on acid. This is horrid, you know what I mean? This is awful, it's so toxic, it's blackening. And you know, when you said to me, we want to talk about Rendlesham, I was like, oh. Because every time I do anything like this and it goes out on YouTube, oh my God, it's like the wolves are there, they're just waiting. It's like, haven't you got a life? You know? So it's vicious, it's toxic, it's horrible. One day I might write a book about everything that I think, but for now I just really, it's just so awful. I want to distance myself from it, you know, because I don't want that to define me.
I mean, the bigger a case gets, and the more well known it gets, the more backbiting you get.
I think the more real it becomes is when that, you know, when people start talking sense. When, you know, when it was that revolving door on the internet, you know, the RFI forum. Sort of pointless. Well, it wasn't pointless actually. It was really good, but at the end of the day, you couldn't have an opinion without somebody jumping in and changing the conversation that you're having entirely into something else. It would just mess it up, mess it up, mess it up. People argue about, well, you said that, and they were stood there, and they were wearing that, and he had his hair like that. It's like, well, none of that really matters, does it? You know? Well, it's all shake. What actually happened? You know? And how did it happen? And how is it? And then I'm talking to John Vasquez. He's another guy, Fort Benning, 1977, September. Another massive UFO invasion. So all these 1,300 men all out in the field, all, you know, waiting to be briefed or doing some exercise. And then just all of a sudden, all these lights under attack, you know. And I did a bit of research in my areas of the bowels of Google, and I found it to be a joint attack weapon system test. Sent in that information. That's been verified by Stanton Friedman. So it's, and others, you know, so there's lots of people now on that, because I said, well, this is what it is. That's where I was digging about anyway. And he's going, there's similarities between Rendlesham and Fort Benning, and I'm like, well, yeah, military bases, blah, blah, blah. So I had him on my show. He's telling me about all these effects that he's seeing that are kind of basically sort of gravitational inertia effects. Like Philadelphia experiment, when people say they're going disappearing, that's sort of when a mass is made to weigh less than its actual, you know, its body mass by using electromagnetic radiation, then it causes this effect where things seem to vanish in front of your face, but obviously they're still really there. So that's what he was describing, but then he said I found another witness, so I thought, brilliant, let's have him on. Ken Darnell, and he was there months before. Now I thought it was going to be part of the same event, but it wasn't. It was one that happened months before. And then I thought, well, that's funny, because Laurie Redfeld, she had a sighting in February before the December event at Rendlesham. So there's like some minor event, then a major event. Both of them report seeing aliens, and both of them report seeing floating aliens. And John apparently shot this alien that came out of this room, this building that they'd already all been in, and just happened to find a weapon, like a rifle leaning against the wall. You know, it just all seems so staged, all of this stuff. So what I've done, I said to, I was on Joe Montaldo's radio show the other day, and there's a couple of million people listening, so I've put out a thing for, please, if you hear of any incidents on military bases between 76 and 86, I want to know about it, because I reckon it's all part of the same shake-up, you know. But I basically think that's the deal, what's been going on. What's the ultimate threat? Something from above, you know, something, that's what they wanted to plan against the unknown. They were saying, what if some private corporation's got millions, billions, you know, there are private billionaires in the world, you know, what if they've got the air power, the fire power, they come into the base, they compromise the base, take the weapons, blah, blah, blah. that was what we pitched. But then they used, in the back of the document 5, they said, as you can imagine, in this book Rogers here, we've come out with some very far out ideas. Do you know what I mean? So they were actually, in this thing, hinting that we're going to use the alien threat as part of this shake-up of the ultimate unknown threat that we need to prepare against. Because they already start, we've got all these people that we don't even know, they're probably not even English, or American, sorry, inside the nuclear bases. Now I thought the only thing that I need now is to find evidence that there were missiles stolen, or nuclear weapons, or some kind of nuclear material taken from that base at Rendlesham. And then I'd said all that, and then somebody sent me a video clip of Clifford Stone and Bob Dean talking about Charles Holt saying not only did they get, you know, not only did they come onto the base, they stole some of the nukes. And I thought, well, you know what I mean, you don't have to believe everybody, but that was just the one little bit that I've been looking for, you know, because I thought, well, that's it, that's what they wanted to do ultimately. It was compromise the base enough to actually get something off it, you know. So I think that's it in a pretty large nutshell. So, any questions? No? I think everybody looks as tired as I am. Right, well, I'll stop there then. If you want to contact me, all my stuff's on sachachristie.com, and my email is sacha.ufo@gmail.com. And I'm available for bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, or weddings. Well, thanks for listening, and thanks for turning up, because I didn't expect to see this many people. I thought there'd be one old bloke who was already here with a cough at the back.
Oh, David, you mean?
Stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been great. Thanks, and thanks for listening.
Absolutely superb.